humanity no longer seeks refuge. It seeks an empire. In the age of great abundance, Earth has become a jewel of crystal and technology. But a single world is no longer enough for our ambition. The discovery of Arcadia, a planet with a biological signature identical to our own, light years away, was the starting gun for the greatest feat in history. The Vástago spacecraft is not a raft of castaways. It is an embassy of steel and pride. 3,000 colonists, the elite of science and the arts, set out with absolute certainty. The universe belongs to them. They did not suspect that Arcadia was not an empty territory waiting to be conquered, but a living organism with its own laws of welcome. Crossing the interstellar void is not a matter of speed, but of patience. The Vástago spacecraft defies the immensity of the stellar abyss, turning the journey into an odyssey that lasts 300 years. For Earth, it is a mere blink of an eye in its history. For those on board, it is a leap into the future. 3,000 chosen ones rest in suspended animation sarcophagi, submerged in a chemical slumber that halts aging. Their bodies are relics of the last century kept intact by Iris, the artificial intelligence of Class S that governs the ship. Iris is the only conscious mind in the abyss, making micro-adjustments to the trajectory and repairing the hull as the stars pass by. For 3 centuries, the Vástago is a sanctuary of absolute silence. There is no radio, no messages, only the constant pulse of the AI watching over the frozen dreams of its crew. For the colonists, the awakening will be immediate, as if they had merely blinked. But as the ship finally approaches Arcadia's orbit, on the lower decks of the Vástago, the cryogenic capsules begin to activate one by one. A 3-century-long slumber is coming to an end. And as she oversees the crew's awakening, Iris detects something in the initial scans of the planet that doesn't match the models sent from Earth. Something on Arcadia isn't working as it should. When the Vástago spacecraft enters Arcadia's orbit, something doesn't add up. For decades, Earth-based telescopes had shown a planet that appeared stable. Vast oceans, green continents, an oxygen-rich atmosphere, a world almost perfect for colonization. But the first orbital images reveal a very different reality. The planet's surface is not covered in normal forests. The vegetation forms gigantic, irregular structures that stretch for miles. There are no treetops. There are no grasslands. Instead, there are organic columns, fibrous surfaces, and large enclosed, capsule-like formations. Some reach tens of meters in height. Scientists begin to review the data in greater detail. Atmospheric analyses arrive on the bridge one after another. And something begins to worry them. The atmosphere contains oxygen. But it also contains very high concentrations of unknown organic compounds, molecules that do not appear in any terrestrial ecosystem. The respiratory models begin to recalculate. The results appear on the screens one after another. A human being could not breathe that air. Not for hours, not even for minutes. The chemical composition of the atmosphere makes it incompatible with human life. The data keeps coming in. The composition of the air fluctuates constantly. Biological activity in the soil is extreme, and environmental simulations fail to find a stable equilibrium. Arcadia does not seem like a peaceful world. It seems like an ecosystem that is too active for human life. For a few seconds, the bridge remains silent. The entire mission was designed to colonize this planet. But now, for the first time since the journey began, a disturbing possibility arises that Arcadia may never have been truly habitable. Arcadia's first hours in orbit completely transformed the atmosphere inside the Vástago spacecraft. The 3,000 colonists are now awake. For decades, they had dreamed of this moment, the first habitable world discovered by humanity. But the data coming in from the orbital sensors is not what they expected. On the bridge, Captain Elias Navarro watches the screens in silence. At his side, the ship's artificial intelligence, IRIS, continues to process information. The conclusions are clear. The atmosphere contains oxygen, but it also contains abnormally high concentrations of organic compounds. The composition of the air is constantly changing. Environmental simulations show the same result over and over again. We cannot survive on the surface. In the ship's habitable levels, the colonists begin to grow restless. The news spreads quickly. Arcadia is not the paradise they hoped to find. In the corridors, the same question is repeated. Is the mission being canceled? Is the mission being canceled? On the bridge, IRIS presents the only logical option. The orbital data isn't enough. They need direct information from the surface. Captain Navarro takes several seconds to respond. 3,000 lives depend on that decision. Finally, he gives the order. A reconnaissance expedition will be sent. 20 colonists, specialists in biology, geology, and environmental analysis. Fully sealed suits. A window for exploration of just a few hours. The mission is simple. Collect samples, analyze the atmosphere, and determine whether Arcadia can become a home, or whether humanity has traveled 300 years to a planet where it will never be able to live. Minutes later, the shuttle slowly separates from the Vástago spacecraft. and begins its descent toward the surface of Arcadia. The shuttle slowly makes its way through Arcadia's atmosphere. The sensors begin to record strange data almost immediately. The density of organic particles in the air is much higher than expected. Millions of them, suspended in the atmosphere. From inside the spacecraft, the 20 colonists observe the readings in silence. No one speaks. As the shuttle passes through the lower layers of the atmosphere, the landscape appears below them. And at that moment, everyone realizes that something is wrong. From orbit, Arcadia looked like a planet covered in forests. But those aren't forests. They are gigantic structures. Vegetative formations rising from the ground in all directions. Organic columns, fibrous surfaces. Large enclosed capsules protruding from the vegetation. Nothing resembles a known ecosystem. The shuttle lands. The engines shut down. For a few seconds, no one moves. On the bridge, Captain Elias Navarro watches the images without taking his eyes off the screen. Iris analyzes every biometric signal from the colonists. Finally, the hatch opens. One by one, the explorers descend to the surface of Arcadia. The ground gives way slightly beneath their boots. It is not rock. It is a soft layer of vegetation covering the entire terrain. The sensors begin to emit constant readings of biological activity everywhere. Beneath the ground, in the air, in the very structures surrounding them. The colonists advance cautiously. The silence is absolute. Too absolute. There are no animals. There is no strong wind, only that strange landscape that seems to stretch to the horizon. One of the scientists stops in front of one of the large capsules. It is nearly 2 meters tall. The surface is smooth, slightly translucent, and something is moving inside. "Captain, we've got something here," he says over the communication channel. From orbit, Iris zooms in on the image. The sensors detect intense biological activity inside the structure. The scientist moves a little closer. He extends a tool to take a sample. For a few seconds, nothing happens. But then the alarms start blaring. The sensors detect a sudden surge in activity inside the capsule. "I think it's reacting," says the scientist. And then it happens. The capsule opens. The organic walls burst apart, like petals unfolding violently. A dense cloud of microscopic particles is expelled into the air. In a matter of seconds, the entire environment is filled with that biological material. The suit's alarms begin to scream. The particles are entering the filters. "External contamination," shouts one of the colonists. An immediate order comes from the Vástago spacecraft. "Return to the shuttle, now." The explorers begin to retreat. But the biomedical sensors are already picking up something alarming. Some particles have passed through the filters. The internal systems detect biological presence in the respiratory tract. On the bridge, Captain Navarro watches the readings in silence. They still don't know what those particles are, or what they might do inside the human body. But one thing is starting to become clear. Arcadia's surface isn't just strange, it's dangerous. The shuttle returns to the Vástago spacecraft just 40 minutes after the incident on the surface. The ascent takes place in complete silence. The internal cameras show the expedition members sitting in their seats, motionless, constantly monitoring the readouts on their suits. The biomedical systems continue to emit intermittent alerts. The readings are not normal. Small biological signals appear on the suit's internal filters. Microscopic structures that shouldn't be there. As the shuttle approaches the main ship, Iris automatically activates the biosafety protocol. The Vástago's outer hatch remains closed. The expedition cannot enter the ship. Instead, the shuttle is redirected to a biological isolation module located at the bottom of the hull. A compartment designed precisely for this type of emergency. The ship docks. The external hatches are sealed. For several minutes, no one moves. Then the decontamination processes begin. Powerful jets of sterilizing compounds completely cover the surface of the shuttle. The procedure takes nearly 20 minutes. Iris monitors every step, every biological reading, every fluctuation in the medical sensors, every change in the explorer's vital signs. Only when the process is complete do the internal hatches open. The 5 members of the expedition are transported directly to the medical quarantine unit, a space isolated from the rest of the ship by several layers of security. The doors close. From that moment on, the Vástago is divided into 2 zones: the medical area and the rest of the crew. During the first few hours, the doctors try to understand exactly what happened on the surface. The samples collected from the suit's filters contain thousands of unknown microscopic structures. They don't look like bacteria. They don't look like viruses. Their cellular structure is completely different from any known form of life. But the most disturbing discovery comes shortly after. Blood tests on the explorers show that those same biological structures are already inside their bodies, in small quantities. At first, the doctors hope the immune system will eliminate them. But that doesn't happen. The human body's defense cells don't react. The microscopic organisms remain active in the bloodstream, as if the immune system didn't recognize them, or worse, as if it accepted them. The first abnormalities appear a few hours later. One of the explorers begins to breathe irregularly. It's not shortness of breath, it's the opposite. He's breathing too deeply. Medical sensors register a sudden increase in lung capacity. Another explorer complains of a strange sensation under his skin. Medical cameras zoom in on the image. The veins in his arms have darkened. They aren't swollen, but their course is no longer the same. They branch out slowly, as if something were redrawing the circulatory system from within. On another stretcher, one of the explorers opens her eyes. Her pupils react to the light with abnormal speed. Too fast. The doctors exchange glances. No one speaks for several seconds. On the bridge, Captain Elias Navarro receives the first reports. He reads them once, then again. At his side, Iris continues analyzing the biomedical data. Millions of readings per second. Then, an alert appears on the screens. Iris detects active genetic changes in the explorer's cells. Small DNA sequences are being modified, rewritten. The captain remains silent. Is it an infection? He finally asks. Iris takes 2 seconds to respond. Negative. The word hangs in the air. Then what is it? Iris does not respond immediately. The simulations continue to run. On the ship's habitable decks, rumors have already begun. The explorers are contaminated, and they are inside the Vástago. Some colonists are demanding immediate action. We have to eject the medical module. We don't know what they're turning into. 3,000 lives depend on this. Others disagree. They're part of the mission. We have to understand what's happening. The arguments begin to spread through the ship's corridors. Iris blocks off several sections to prevent the crew from approaching the medical zone. On the bridge, Navarro observes the planet beneath the ship. Arcadia rotates slowly. A world they cannot land on. And inside the Vástago, 5 humans are changing, with no one knowing what they will become. The Vástago spacecraft is no longer a sanctuary of silence. The corridors are filled with voices, sealed doors, restricted sectors, colonists gathered in small groups, speaking louder and louder. Images from the medical unit have been leaked. Everyone has seen the explorers, the dark veins beneath their skin, the way they breathe, the way they look. Some colonists no longer want them on the ship. Expel them. We don't know what they're turning into. We can't have that here. Others gaze at the planet through the observation windows. Arcadia rotates slowly beneath the Vástago, a world they cannot land on. Then what are we doing here? The planet is uninhabitable. 3 centuries for nothing. Tension begins to spread throughout the ship. Iris seals off several sectors to prevent clashes. On the bridge, Captain Elias Navarro watches the screens in silence. 5 colonists are changing, and the rest of the ship is afraid. Navarro looks at the planet. Then he looks at the biomedical reports. Behind him, Iris continues to analyze the data. The changes in the explorers show no sign of stopping. The captain breathes slowly. The mission has reached a point no one had anticipated. A planet where they cannot live, and 5 people who might be able to. On the Vástago, 3,000 colonists await a decision, and only 2 entities can make it: Iris and Captain Elias Navarro. A week later, the decision is carried out in absolute silence. No one boards the shuttle of their own accord. The sleeping gas floods the isolation zones. The 20 mutated explorers are taken away. And so are the dissidents, those who asked too many questions about Arcadia. They wake up suddenly in the dim light. They're already down below, on the surface. The shuttle is dark, and the massive hatches are wide open. The fog outside, thick and yellowish, begins to seep into the cabin. Panic breaks out instantly. The uninfected know that atmosphere is lethal. Desperation drives them toward the emergency suits. They climb into the suits with trembling hands. The digital gauges on their helmets glow in the darkness. The oxygen reserves show barely 2 hours. But the 20 explorers do not flinch. They rise in absolute silence. Their eyes, turned into black pits, reflect the pale light of the fog. One of them walks toward the open ramp. Without a suit, without protection, he steps directly into the toxic atmosphere. The dissidents watch him from inside, paralyzed by terror. They expect him to collapse, suffocating. But the explorer lifts his face toward the dark sky of Arcadia and breathes. A deep, long inhalation. The thick, dark veins in his neck throb, absorbing the air. The other 19 follow him out. In that instant, the harsh truth hits those still wearing suits. The parasite was never a disease. It was a key, a genetic rewrite designed to make them compatible with hell. A deafening roar shakes the organic ground. A blue flash pierces the murky clouds. The Vástago spacecraft rises and vanishes into the darkness of space. High Command has abandoned them to their fate. On the cursed surface, the dissidents realize their true fate. They watch the oxygen countdown on their suits, which keeps ticking down. And then they look toward the fog. The 20 mutants are there, motionless under the rain of spores. They aren't going to attack them. They aren't waiting for them to die. They're waiting for them to take off their helmets. Because they know that when the air runs out, the dissidents will have to choose to die of suffocation inside their own suits, or to breathe in the parasite to keep living. They left them behind to survive, to save humanity. But in Arcadia, life goes on, and so does change. Years later, and when the offspring returns, she may discover that the planet was indeed habitable, just not for them, and that those she left behind are no longer willing to welcome her.